want to welcome everybody to the meeting of the Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment. Bring the meeting to order. This committee serves as a voice and bridge between our Native Hawaiian beneficiaries and OHA policies, programs, and resources. Through advocacy and collaboration, the committee's kuleana spans many areas: education, health, housing, culture, economic well-being, and also works in close partnership with the Hawaii State Legislature as we move forward towards the 2026 legislative session. Trustee aides, I want to acknowledge my staff. Trustee aide Leanne Stender-Durant, serving as recording secretary. Trustee Secretary Kyla He, serving as the committee technology and information specialist. So Leanne, please take the roll.
Trustee Ahuna. Trustee Akaka.
Yo.
Trustee Akina. Trustee Alapa. Trustee Kahele. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza.
Yo.
Trustee Waihee. Not present. Chair Galataria.
Yo.
You have 6 members present. You have a quorum.
Mahalo. This meeting is being conducted in compliance with HRS Chapter 92, Sunshine Law, and the OHA bylaws. It is viewable via live stream at www.ohad.org/livestream and available for in-person attendance at the Mauli Ola boardroom here in Honolulu. Pursuant to Article 12 of our bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order for Small Boards, Section 4921, we will observe the following procedures. Trustees will be recognized by the chair before speaking. Motions do not require a second. The chair may participate fully in debate and vote on all matters. Informal discussion is permitted while no motion is pending. And I ask everyone to please observe order and decorum per Article 17 of the bylaws. And public testimony will be allowed on any agenda item and will be limited to 5 minutes per person. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Now, due to technical difficulties, the minutes are deferred until the BAE committee meeting on January 28th of this year. Okay? So, members, we will now proceed to new business. We have 3 action items to consider, and we'll now take up the first item on the agenda under new business. BAE action item 26-01, approval of the resolution supporting the continued community-led management of Kaʻūpūlehu, Kona region, Hawaii Island, including in ongoing agency rulemaking, a presentation by Hui, Kahuwai, and supporting community members. Leanne, do we have any public testimony?
No. No testimony at this time.
Okay, mahalo. I'd like to invite Chief Advocate Lena Alalei to join the trustees at the board table. Where's Lei? Okay. Yeah, please come forward and lead us in the presentation of the action item 2601, please. Mahalo.
Good morning, trustees.
Morning.
Could we get confirmation from staff that we have our community presenters available? We have 2 community members who are remotely appearing from Hawaiʻi Island to help in the presentation of this matter.
What's your request?
For staff to see if the community is available by Zoom.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
To present. It's Kaikea Nakachi and Auntie Hannah Springer. Okay, is it possible for us to ask Kaikea if he wants to go ahead with Auntie?
I see Hannah Springer on with Kaikea.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh.
Excellent. Okay, I just wanted to be sure they were both here. I'm going to turn it over to them in a minute, but I want to introduce them. as members of the Kaʻūpūlehu Marine Life Advisory Committee, who have worked on the ground intimately in the Kaʻūpūlehu community really for over 30 years. The life of different iterations of this community group, working on community-led management of the fishery resource in the area. And I believe Auntie Hannah needs no introduction, but I will go ahead and give a brief one. She is a former OHA trustee. She is currently filling the Loea or Native Hawaiian expert seat on the Commission for Water Resource Management. She has a history of community engagement and activism that is much too long to go into here, but she was something that's kind of a North Star for us in our PAIA is she was a plaintiff in the Kapa'akai versus Oka'aina versus Land Use Commission case, which is where we get the mandate in law to do a Kapa'akai analysis that is the foundation of enforcing our beneficiaries' constitutional rights to traditional and customary practices. So she's been a trailblazer, and every time I have the opportunity, I mahalo her for her work on behalf of beneficiaries. And Kaikea Nakachi is a up-and-coming expert in ocean resource field. He's a son of Uncle Mike Nakachi, who was recently here in October to talk about the deal in our rulemaking with respect to opening back up the West Hawaii area to commercial aquarium collection. He is finishing his master's at University of Hawaii at Hilo to again advance their families, their ohana's interest in serving as, stewards of ocean resources. And I know from my past time at Earth Justice, he's an amazing underwater photographer. He takes these just amazing photos of our marine life. So welcome to both of you, and I'm going to turn it over to you now, and then I can wrap up at the end if there's any additional procedural questions from the OHA end.
Okay, before you begin, aloha, Trustee Springer, welcome back to the boardroom. It's been a long time. Okay, please proceed.
Mahalo and aloha mai kākou. I am Hannah Keohokalole Springer, and I'm here to share, along with Kaikea, the mo'olelo of Worth the Wait. Next slide, please. It begins with the people who from the time of the ancient gods, next slide, please. Back one, to the time of the new word, have intimate and interactive relationships with Akua. Next slide, please. In my kupuna times, some of the old folks continued living where the ancestors lived for generations and continued to tell the mo'olelo from the lips of one generation to the ears of the next, as they had since the mo'olelo were called into time. The mo'olelo continue to educate us, inform our sensibilities, and guide our behavior. From the Wamamau comes the mo'olelo of when Kumukea Kalani was the ali'i wahine of Kaʻūpūlehu, Kūkiʻo, and Maninio Valley, places populated by many, many people. Then came a drought. It persisted in the land, and the people of it became lean. The sun weighed upon them, the vegetation withered, and the people became weak, eating only wild plants, noni, and dried fish, until they were immobilized by hunger. Kumukea Kalani called upon her kahuna Alaka'i Kapilau for guidance. Kapilau informed her that she alone was the hope of the land and its people. Kapilau instructed her to turn to her brother, whose head is hidden in the sky, Kāneʻohe Ola, and what he would restore life as only he could. So she entered into a 10-day period of isolation, contemplation, prayer, and focus upon the restoration of life to the people and their land. Upon completion of the 10-day period, Kumukea Kalani rejoined her people, and they soon observed an apparent stranger coming towards them from the uplands. Kumukea soon recognized the man as her godly brother Kāne. Following their tender reunion, they set out, initiating a solution for their pilikia. Kāne then called for all of the men who were able to prepare an imu, no doubt additionally fortified by Kāne. They gathered the firewood, imu stones, and foliage for the hali'i. When the imu was prepared, Kāne lay himself down upon the layer of akulikuli and instructed a layer of makaloa to be placed over him and a mound of dirt over that. As the people clustered about and exclaimed of these extraordinary things, Kāne appeared, having come up from the bay, and urged them to open the imu, which was filled with life-giving foods. Now, the site where Kāne emerged from the imu into the bay is the site of a spring known through the generations as Waiakane. It continues to produce cool and fresh waters, valued for their healing properties. From this mo'olelo, we have learned that during times of depletion, by being attentive and accepting counsel, by remaining disciplined in spirit and action, crisis can be averted, and that the life of the land and the people of it can be perpetuated, and that we may thrive through the generations. Some of us are descended from the people who lived at Kahuwai, the site of this mo'olelo, from the Wamamau, and here is their kauhale, circa 1910. Next slide, please. Some of us are employed here now. Irrigation waters the land as once provided for by Kāne and Kumukea. But the lessons and sensibility of the mo'olelo, next slide, please, prevail, and we still look to the uplands for Kāne i ka vai ola. Mahalo, and here's Kaikea.
Thank you, Auntie
Mahalo,
Hannah.
beautifully done. Kaikea, you have something to add?
Yeah, I have a few more slides to share
Okay.
a bit more about tri-weight and a little more context to the resolution for you guys, if you don't mind.
Certainly. Before you do that, please, I'd like to acknowledge that Trustee Kahele has joined the board meeting. Okay, thank you. Okay, please proceed.
Mahalo. Next slide, please. So as Auntie Hannah exclaimed, we've had multiple iterations and generations caring for this land. And as we've learned about the place Kahuwai specifically, we have since formed a nonprofit organization called Hui Kahuwai. And there on the left is our mission to perpetuate the legacy of our forebears, as partly explained by Auntie Hannah, by adaptively and collaboratively learning about protecting, tending, and restoring the biocultural resources and practices of Kekaha, North Kona, Hawaiʻi Island, focusing on Kaʻūpūlehu. And part of our fisheries management planning that is decades in the works now, part of our goal is to return productive and sustainable subsistence fishing to our home. Next slide, please. Some of you might be familiar with this, but this comes from our Conservation Action Plan and was our predecessor, the Kaʻūpūlehu Marine Life Advisory Committee, that formed this with TNC's aid in 2015. And this just shows some of what previous chapters and current iterations, such as Hui Kahuwai, focus on malama and taking care of at Kahuwai, including all these various organisms and ecosystems on the left there, and on the right are all the various impacts to those things that we want to malama. And as you can see, there are many things we want to take care of, and there are many threats to what we want to take care of. And part of the challenge we face now for fishing regulations is how do we make rules that address as many things that we want to take care of and address as many threats to those things. Next slide, please. part of our effort that many of you are probably familiar with is the Tri-Weight effort, or the Kaʻūpūlehu Marine Reserve. This was established in July of 2016, so we're going into 2026 now, where we're on the final 10th year of this 10-year no-take, all species rest from high water mark on shore out to 120 feet depth. And this was in response to a long-term decline in fisheries and resources of Kaʻūpūlehu that mostly started in 1975 when the Queen Kaʻahumanu Highway was opened, and what was once a hard-to-reach area became much more accessible, and we started to see a decline in some of the marine resources here. So as a way to protect that legacy of Kane given to Kumukea and her people, the Tri-Weight Reserve was one way to start this. And we're currently 10 years in. Next slide, please. And we've been spending these 10 years, one, monitoring our reef. TNC aids us with scuba surveys on the reef. Auntie Hannah's son, Kekohokalole, began a community monitoring effort of snorkel surveys for fish as well. And it's been since expanded to include opihi and other types of surveys. And we also do our best to document local knowledge to get that generational EK captured, and try and use all of these sources of data to inform our management plan. Next slide, please. And that's part of what we've been doing for the past 10 years. While we're resting the reef, we're actively planning for the set of rules that will then replace the no-take of 10 years once 10 years has passed. And our main objective with this set of rules is to protect the gains of Tri-Weight, and like our goal at the beginning, to return sustainable subsistence fishing to Kaʻūpūlehu. Next slide, please. And part of what we're planning to do that is a new designation, what is now a marine reserve and has been for 10 years. We're hoping to change that to a fisheries management area and have a select set of rules that are designed to do everything that we have been doing over the decades of taking care of particularly important species here in Kaʻūpūlehu for eating and for cultural and ecological purposes. And we're planning to do that with this FMA, Fisheries Management Area. Next slide, please. And part of what we've also been doing on top of making the plan and monitoring the reef is a whole lot of outreach and education. And this is for the past 10 years while we've been a marine reserve. We've hosted many huaka'i, done a lot of monitoring, 259 outreach events. We've had 42 meetings with DAR. We've gone through 9 different conferences and done 5 different Makai Watch trainings and 6 invasive fish removal events. And we've engaged a lot of people in person and over social media, with over 6,100 people of the public engaged, over 1,700 students engaged, and over 500,000 social media interactions over the last 10 years. Next slide, please. And this sort of brings us to our immediate timeline of what we're doing with this management plan that we've spent 10 years crafting. We're currently next month looking to request to the BLNR to go to public hearing that we hope to have the very next month in March, and to then review the testimony from that public hearing to modify the rules as needed, and to go back to BLNR in May to submit the rules for approval, and then have a month or 2 of outreach for the end of Tri-Weight to share more about the rules that will replace the Marine Reserve. And that's sort of our timeline for the next few months for the Marine Reserve transitioning to the fisheries management area with the set of rules that we've been designing. Next slide, please. And one of the things we've been really trying to do with DAR is have a co-management approach. It's been a long-standing value held by KMLAC, the Kaʻūpūlehu Marine Life Advisory Committee, and continues with us at Hui Kahuwai, is having that aloha for each other. And while it's been not always been an easy process working with DAR, we have always done our best to have aloha for each other. And we hope to continue that with a co-management agreement eventually with Hui Kahuwai, that we can be more involved in the rules and in perhaps even adaptive management of the rules once fishing resumes here. One more slide and then we'll be done. And just for you guys, if you ever want more information, we do have 2 different websites. We have triweight.info, which has information all about tri-weight, and then huikahuai.org as well has more information about the management plan and our organization. And we also have social media as well, where we'll be sharing about the dates for the public hearings, any other outreach and education events that we do, which will probably include a non-native invasive species removal event that will also be an educational event about the rules. So we encourage you guys to follow along if you want to keep learning more about the process. But thank you guys so much for your time, for having Hannah and I join. Appreciate it.
Mahalo, mahalo nui. Okay, trustees, before we engage in Q&A or some dialogue, I'd like to call for a motion to approve a resolution supporting the continued community-led management of Kaʻūpūlehu, Kona region, Hawaiʻi Island, including ongoing agency rulemaking. And thank you very much for the presentation by Hui Kahuwai and supporting community members. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
So moved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, trustees, any discussion, any questions for either Hannah or Kaikea? Okay, trustee Akina.
Well, mahalo, Trustee Hannah and Kokea. So glad that you joined us today. And I have to say, I enjoyed thoroughly and learned quite a bit from the Mo'olelo presentation. Mahalo. There's no question about it that places like Kaʻūpūlehu can serve as models for the rest of us in Hawaii and across the world. Models in particular of cultural value, and there's no question of the value there. I'm sure you get asked this question from time to time. What do you foresee as the value of such farm management for food security and food sustainability for our people and the population of our islands, as well as some economic opportunity?
Founded in the Mo'olelo, we continue this responsiveness to the circumstances around us. With the opening of the Ka'ahumanu Highway in 1975, we suffered the unintended consequences of a steep decline in the fisheries that had been protected by the isolation that we enjoyed before the highway was put in. So we have firsthand experience with seeing a decline and responding to it as we have learned to do from the Mo'olelo. Our intention with this proposal is to tend a sustainable fishery or fisheries that can meet the needs of the people of place. If people in all places across the Pai'aina of Hawaii were able to take steps similar to this, because every place is different, so there are going to be different kānawai in each of the places, the people of place would be better served. The commercial impact is that the visitors and residents who enjoy to go nānā kai, to look at the ocean, visitors willing to pay for that will have a much more healthy ocean to enjoy in that case. Okay, Kev?
I think you captured it good.
Good.
Thanks, Hannah.
Mahalo.
Hey, mahalo. Trustee Ahuna. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. That's a nice presentation. My questions is just We've been supporting a lot of CBSFA's community-based subsistence fishing areas, and we've been in an area where we can support these groups. Now that this is something totally different, and they're gonna be working with DAR. How do we step in? I mean, how does that work if we're here to okay, but they're gonna be working with DAR?
You'd be one of our cooperators. You'd be a partner with us. We're a little bit different from most of the community-based subsistence fishing areas that come to you and operate in their particular places across the Paiana. We were prescribed by an intervention on an Army Corps of Engineers permit. We began with the parties to the intervention. So OHA was right there with us from the beginning. OHA was one of the parties to the intervention, along with the Kona Hawaiian Civic Club, and you were there with us from the genesis. You will not have been at the genesis for all of the community-based subsistence fishing areas, but as the places of Hawaiʻi are populated by the beneficiaries of the trust, it is in your best interest and ours to monitor these endeavors and to please support, as long as they're in keeping with your mission and the best interests of Hawaiʻi.
Thank you for that. Thank you. One of the questions that we have on Kauai with ours, that comes up so much is, the beauty of our oceans is, like what you said, starts from the mountains. What are you guys doing to protect all of that? Because it's about salinity, vegetation in those areas that you're impacting. So what are you guys, since the highway was built, what are we doing to protect those waters, to make sure that those waters are still flowing into our oceans? And salinity is, to me, is your greatest protection efforts that should be based. That's just how I feel, because that salinity is very important to the ocean, especially at from the ocean line, high water mark to wherever you guys are going. That's the most important one. So what do we, how do you guys monitor that? I mean, because that's going to be under a lot of other jurisdictions and stuff. So
Thanks. And for sure, we have the perhaps unique circumstances of having a single major landowner in Kaʻūpūlehu, which is the Kamehameha Schools. And the Kamehameha Schools was also a party to that intervention. Through our time together, although we may have been on different sides of the table during the intervention, we've benefited greatly from the collaboration that has come from that. Our prescribed time together sunsetted after a couple of years, but we found that we enjoyed working together. We're a coalition of kama'aina, of agencies, of landowners, large and small, and newcomers, as well as people with the koko of this place for generations. Now, my son Kekalike, who you saw in that earlier slide, now tends 70 acres of dryland forest at the 2,000-foot elevation up the hill. As part of the Ahupua'a Accelerator Initiative, we've established relationships with Uluha'o, the Duarte family, at about the 6,000-foot elevation. Our family lives at Kukuiohiwai, also at the 2,000-foot elevation in Kaʻūpūlehu. So we have people on Aina from the fishery to the summit. The hydrology of Kaʻūpūlehu is a fascinating thing. And there are high silica levels that are in the waters that flow through Kaʻūpūlehu. So we deal with not only saltwater impacts at the basal level, but also the water quality deep within. We are in the unique circumstance of having people at every elevation, both terrestrial and marine. We're engaged, as Kaikea described, with aloha i ke kahi, and it's a testament to that practice that even the families and others who sat opposite one another in the various interventions at Kaʻūpūlehu have always come together to aloha aina and aloha i ke kahi. To aloha nui kākou, and kākou includes you too.
And if I
Well,
may,
well,
oh,
yeah. Oh, go ahead. No, I just wanted to ask these questions because these things come up a lot, and you know, one of the ways of management are people. It's not about getting rid of things. You know, we have a green bird right now flying around, parrot flying around, and I mean, do we just get rid of them all? I mean, I wish I could, but you know, sometimes we notice the positive effects of it, and you know, wherever there's green parrots, you know, our coconut trees and our palms are flourishing because I think they're eating the rhinoceros beetle. And where there's none of those parrots, they're all dying on Kauai, all those parrots. So it's really funny because the coconut grove in Kapa is filled with these parrots, but none of those trees are dying. So, what was the indication that these fish were very bad? These invasive species. What kind of things did you guys see in the water?
it wasn't so much invasive species taking over, more so just what was traditionally a small population, well, even a large population of people fishing for subsistence, transition to a larger population of Hawaii Island having access and fishing not just for subsistence, in some cases, fishing commercially and being able to access much easier the location. So we had several decades of unchecked fishing that led to declines. And I think Kaʻūpūlehu was always known for having a rich fishery, again, for being so isolated, but also because of the spring that Auntie Hannah spoke about in her story. Just like you were explaining the connections of Mauka Makai. And that was part of what I wanted to share as well, that while the Kaʻūpūlehu Marine Life Advisory Committee formed from that intervention and was very much focused on marine species, that as we've grown, we've tried to take a more holistic approach of not just focusing on the marine species. And that's one thing that we've pushed for, having our nonprofit Hui Kahuwai to be able to address more than just simply the marine species, to address the entire picture. And that's also why the spring is so important, but also the name Hui Kahuwai. So hoping to tend those waters, whether they're bubbling up in Kahuwai Bay or whether they're falling on the summit of Hualalai, which Kaʻūpūlehu is the only ahupua'a to extend all the way to the summit and even onto the other side towards Mauna Loa. So I think the values and the care that we have at Kaʻūpūlehu are important for the rest of West Hawaii, to not just have that care that extends from the summit to our shores, but also just all of those cultural values that we share with our other communities, whether it be the Milili'i CBSFA and others, of taking a more active role of community of place, not only gathering that ike, that community data, but having a more hand involved in the actual management and reaction to what the data is telling us, what we need to do to take care of our place. So that's one thing we're hoping to expand more. And as Auntie Hannah explained, we have been forming better relationships with not only the ohana, but the actual organizations that do more work up Mauka, including Kamehameha schools. So it is very much our hope that when we have this management plan in place, we can start to do more with our time, since right now, large majority of our time is spent working with DAR on this management plan. And it is our hope to continue to look at the entire picture, Makai, in our efforts to tend the waters, as our name, Hui Kahuwai, implies.
Okay.
And if I may, you can see from my second to the last slide that the landscape is tremendously impacted here by both resort development and high-end subdivisions. These came to our landscape and we work with them. We've been skeptical of them, which is the source of the interventions that have come out of Kaʻūpūlehu, but we also recognize their place on the landscape. A great irony to me, for so many people, Kama'aina and Malihini alike, who have come to appreciate and enjoy the waters of Kaʻūpūlehu, Kūkiʻo, and Maninio Valley, who decry the development of these resorts and subdivisions, use the public access prescribed in the land use planning process for these resorts and subdivisions to access the shoreline that they have joined us in loving so deeply. Thanks.
And one last thing, I'm asking these questions because all you guys asking for is support, and I'm here to support. But when you're not asking for money, that's when I was like, oh, I was trying to figure out like how are we helping? You know what I mean? So I love to support you guys, Auntie. So thank you so much.
Mahalo.
You guys not asking for money or anything, so that's why I asked those questions. Thank you.
Yep, and just thank you for the support you have given us in hiring personnel in the past. Before we became incorporated, which was one of the reasons that we did become incorporated, the OHA, as one of the parties to that early intervention and sitting at the table with us, did supply some personnel in our midlife, and we incorporated so that we could apply for funds ourselves and independently. Mahalo.
Oh, we want to support you. We have Trustee Ahuna, are you done, Pao? Okay. Trustee Akaka?
Mahalo. Mahalo, Anake, and aloha kaikia, mahalo nui for your presentation and sharing on your continued kuleana, which is in alignment with the traditions and cultural values of our kupuna. So I just wanted to say mahalo and aloha nui.
Hey, aloha.
Mahalo, Vice Chair. You know, we just got word that Kevin Chang is online from Kua. Kevin, are you there? And he wanted to provide a bit of testimony. Kevin, you there? Can you hear me? Okay, why don't you proceed with sharing? You got a few minutes,
Yes,
okay?
yeah, aloha, Uncle Chair, Trustee Galataria, and the Board of Trustees. My name is Kevin Chang, Executive Director of Kuaʻaina Ulu Aomo, former and proud OHA employee. From about 14 years ago when I left there to do this work, I was a former land manager at OHA. And a core reason for going into this work was that as OHA was acquiring lands, we didn't have the capacity to really manage, and that real management required a shared responsibility and shared governance and helping to build that capacity in the community. So, you know, the work of Hui Kahuwai and its predecessor is just an example, just another example of that, along with our communities doing CBSFAs, working on adaptive management, now working on co-management policies. These are all important to lifting up communities. So not only are we, you know, fulfilling obligations to aloha and malama aina, but we are building a culture of self-governance, which is really why I really got into this work. And I'm just proud that this is before you today. I hope you will support it. And mahalo.
Mahalo. Very well done. All right, members, any other questions or comments? Okay, we got a motion on the table to approve a resolution supported the continued community-led management of Kaʻūpūlehu Kona region, including ongoing agency rulemaking. So, if there's no more discussion, I'm going to call for the vote. Okay, Leanne?
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa, Trustee Kahele, Trustee Lindsay, not present, Trustee Souza,
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
Chair Galutaria.
Aye.
You have 8 yes votes and
Very
1
good.
absent.
Okay, mahalo nui loa. Nice to see you again, Hannah. Aloha to you. Kai kia
Mahalo nui.
aloha.
Aloha.
Oh, that's nice. Nice to have her back. All right, let's move to item B, BAE action item 26-02, approval of a resolution supporting Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, claimants' reburial plans for the Mōkapu collection at Marine Corps Base Hawaiʻi, Kaneʻohe, Oʻahu. And we'll enjoy a presentation by Skye, Sai, and Adrian. Okay? Before we go there, I'd like to invite, any public testimony? None?
No testimony.
Okay. I'd like to invite OHA's compliance archaeologist, Kamakana Ferreira, to join Lena Ala and the trustees at the board table to lead the presentation on this action item.
Hello, trustees.
Hello.
I'm just going to give a very brief introduction and overview of the reso that's put before you folks. Honestly, it's kind of exciting to be at this stage, to have actual reburial plans that are, agreed upon amongst the claimants for the Mōkapu collection. This is one of the last items that Kai Markel approved before he retired, and something he was very vested in. I would go on some of the site visits, but Kai was primarily handling Mōkapu, and I'm just hoping to shepherd this process along to see it to completion now that he's retired. I believe he may volunteer some of his time when the reburial actually occurs, but it's part of the the importance of this resolution to me personally, and also to the claimants. As explained and summarized in the action item, there are over 1,000 iwi kupuna and hundreds of moipu that were displaced, either from actions of the Bishop Museum, the University of Hawaii for research purposes, or construction purposes for the military, mostly the Navy. That's what resulted in the displacement of all of these iwi kupuna. And a lot of that occurred during a time when there wasn't any historic preservation laws, or NAGPRA didn't exist. NAGPRA didn't exist till 1990, but after 1990, it enabled claimants to come forward to make claims for iwi kupuna that are held by institutions that are federally funded. And when this collection was put up, there were 23 claimants that came forward, which included the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, as well as the Oʻahu Burial Council at the time. But unfortunately, due to some disagreements, and I think also over control of the military, kind of like controlling the space, they were never able to come to resolution on what the reburial plan actually was supposed to be, and it was never carried out. And so it's still temporarily held at the Marine Corps base. Over the years, OHA has taken, as well as the Oʻahu Burial Council, has taken on more of a supportive role, trying to find ways to help facilitate to get consensus, rather than asserting ourselves as a claimant. But nevertheless, we are still listed as a claimant, and the Marine Corps base is definitely interested in, what OHA's opinion, as well as the Oahu Island Burial Council opinion is on the reburial plans that have been put forward. But what I'd like to stress is that the claimants that are here now, they have taken more control of the process. They've taken upon themselves to convene meetings and to put forth a memorandum of agreement to the Marine Corps base to show them that there is solidarity amongst the remaining parties, and that there is agreement on the reburial plan. And so that is the importance of the resolution that's put before you folks. So unless Lei has anything else to say, I'm going to hand it off to the claimants that are here this morning.
Yeah, please come forward. Mahalo for joining us.
Before we get started, aloha kako.
Hey, aloha, Skye. Sai.
My name is Sai Kamuela Harris.
Yeah.
I represent the Kekumano Ohana. And I just wanted to introduce some of the claimants that aren't here.
Okay, would you, Skye, Sai, please address the microphone so people who are watching
So
us.
some of the claimants that aren't here are Dr. Donnie Pauakealono Campbell, representing the Pauakealono Ohana. Na'u Kamali'i, representing the Kamali'i Ohana. The Diamond Ohana, represented by Alan Diamond and Anuhea Diamond. And, of course, the Keohokalole Ohana, represented by Adrian Keohokalole, and Skye Razon-Olds, who represents the Olds Ohana. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Boy, you're a name drop forever. If you, when you folks speak, if you would speak into the microphone so we all can hear, okay?
Yes.
All right, Skye.
Okay. Aloha, everybody. I am Skye Razon-Olds. I represent Naleni Olds Napoleon's Ohana. Our family took over stewardship of Mōkapu from Abner Paki, and we ended up starting to sell off parcels to all of the descendants that are now in the hui with us, all of the recognized NAGPRA claimants. It's about 40 years that our Ohana has been working on it alongside all of these other Ohana. I truly feel like I'm much younger, right? I wasn't there for all of it, but understanding the stories I've learned, being there as a child, I recognized us sitting in the room at the same table with the military was challenging for us as Hawaiians to figure out how to move this forward when we were working in at an American table. Slight disagreements were amplified by the military controlling the conversation, by the military controlling when we could and couldn't meet. It created a large issue. Since then, we've had quite a few people exit. There was a few kumu who came forward and said that their haumana should exit as well. I think initially this being the first NAGPRA case, or the first large NAGPRA case here, we thought more Hawaiians, more numbers, the better. I think in terms of having conversations with the military, that wasn't in our best interest. So what we did is we took some time with the OIBC. We talked them through, we really want them to be advisors. Same thing that we're hoping with you guys is to stay with us through this process as advisors. But ultimately, being a signatory is adding 3 to 4 months to every decision that our hui is making to be able to kind of push forward proof that OHA is in agreement or the OIBC is in agreement. So if we have come today to basically confirm that we want to stay with OHA, we want to continue working with you guys, but we want our relationship to change to an advisory versus a signatory, just so that we can get forward with what we're doing. We have worked with the federal government. We have funds allocated and approved. We have the burial plans, which I think you all received. They have been set forth, created by an architect. Right now, we have confirmed the location, which we all feel is the most culturally significant. And yeah, I'll pause there.
Adrian, you want to add anything? Sai, you want to add anything?
She said everything we need to say.
Okay, very good.
Right. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, before we get to the questions, I'm going to have to put a motion on the table, and then we can have some Q&A. So, trustees, before I call for the motion, by the way, I would like to address a change that was made to the resolution. The substance of the clause, and is highlighted in a handout that you've received, does not change the meaning. Since the change was made prior to this meeting, there is no need to move and vote on an amendment. And the motion reads, to approve a resolution supporting Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act claimants reburial plans for the Mōkapu collection at Marine Corps Base, Hawaii, Kāneʻohe, Oʻahu, as amended. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Thank you, Trustee Souza. Okay, now we can engage in some Q&A. Trustees, any discussion? Vice Chair.
Mahalo. Mahalo for your being here today and your all that you're doing in this kuleana. MCBH, is that considered Crown and Government lands of our Hawaiian Kingdom?
Yes.
It is. So that being said, as well as this being in alignment with our mission when it comes to the kuleana of our kupuna of yesteryear, I think that even more so we need to support this, as the belief is that because these are Crown and Government lands, we do have say, and the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, need to be consulted in matters such as these. Mahalo.
Any other questions, trustees? I have a question. Where are the iwi kupuna at this point right now, and how are they being cared for?
They're currently in a bunker on the base. It is not the best place for them. It is not the cleanest. It's a challenging space for us to be in. When we start the preparation, we will have to be in full mold suits. There's mold issues in the area. We have been working with them to move everyone to a more appropriate location so we can start the cultural preparation, as well as redoing the inventory. So we have, I know it's mentioned in your guys' paperwork, but the iwi kupuna who came back from Bishop is one section or one portion of it. Since then, there has been a lot of military base improvements. Right now, for the last few years, they are improving the electrical system, so they're digging 13-foot trenches across the entire peninsula. So it's almost daily that more kupuna are coming forward. Additionally, we've had people come forward and return iwi kupuna from the community. Originally, when everybody was removed from their burial locations, it was done by Charles Snow, an archaeologist, who invited the entire state to come help dig up and learn about the Hawaiian ali'i. Some of those people took iwi home with them. A lot of the iwi we're talking about has been displaced for over 100 years, or right around that time. So while it's taken 40 years to get here, it does feel like, with how more kupuna are coming forward, it's almost like it was meant to take this time so we could make sure everyone was together. So within the MOA that we sent over to the military that they have told us they're going to sign, they have not yet signed it, we are going to move everybody into a house or cabin where we can have time and space to really do what needs to be done culturally, because they're not in a good location.
Altogether, how many sets?
Probably closer to 3,000.
3,000?
So at the present time, I'm not sure if you all are aware, but during the construction of the Marine base, they used the burial sand in their construction. They used the burial sand to fill trenches. When they filled the foundations of many of these buildings, they used that burial sand. So now that they're deconstructing the base, this burial sand is now coming out, and they have called these inadvertent discoveries, but really it's almost 100% that you're going to find iwi in this sand. So we have made it a point that this sand cannot be taken away from Mōkapu, and that it needs to be cleaned and saved, and that we are planning to use this same sand in the burial process. So we're going to put the sand in the memorial, and the iwi will be put in that sand.
I see.
So this is going to be a constant thing, and that's why we want this memorial built, so that we have a place for all these inadvertent discoveries. So since then, we have accumulated many, many inadvertent bones that are also being added to the memorial. So that's why she says 3,000.
I see.
More like the,
Okay.
Just
Adrian?
to, follow up on size.
We'll come up to the mic. Oh, you can just move it to what
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? It's not a commercial. Okay. Well, just to reiterate, The material that they use, the sand they use, they made sidewalks and everything. So our most recent recovery was they made sidewalks where the officers' clubs were. And when they dug it up, all of Evie was stuck to the sidewalk.
Wow.
So we took that and put it in one area so that the military remembers where that is. And it was right on the golf course. And the conspiracy continues because every material that they use, every piece of sand they use from there, all comes from the base. And it's all from the burial sites.
Yeah.
So we're real serious about what we're doing, yeah.
Do they,
I think that has been an issue why the Marines have been hesitant to allow this to happen, because they've been trying to keep this secret.
yeah. Sounds like they're coming around though.
People don't know what really happened, and
They're
that's
coming around because we made a threat of taking
Right.
it to the news. That's why they're
Ah,
coming.
okay.
I says, would you rather us have a media presentation?
Or whatever works, you know?
Right, absolutely. But we're trying to work with them. We don't want to
Yeah.
have this kind of confrontation, although we know that we can always resort to that.
Skye?
I think currently the commander and the team that is there now are very for this. With everything going on with the military and the land leases, this is kind of our opportunity to tell them, like, this is the best time for you to make the correct decisions, Pono decisions. We want to move forward with you guys because you're our only option. We have to work with you. Speaking to the sand, that's in the MOA, that sand is from the peninsula, from the burial site, is no longer allowed to be used at all for any builds. Trying to figure out culturally how to do the right thing for Evie that is in concrete is very challenging. I mean, Adrian kind of hinted at it, but it's chunks of concrete with pole in it. It is a very challenging thing to see as a Hawaiian, to figure out how to do the cultural practices around that. So this memorial is going to help us get to the finish line and do what we need to do for them. But ultimately, we have issues with them. They have issues with us. We've had a hard time, but now that we are very much informed on the law and we're operating in a separate space from them and we're telling them what we're going to do and how we should do it, we've made a lot of progress, and we're looking forward to seeing it come to fruition.
Okay.
The construction bids should be going out in February.
Oh, February?
Yes.
I see. Okay, trustees, any other questions? Vice Chair?
Mahalo, just a comment. In attending and speaking at a Waimanalo neighborhood board meeting, this specific subject matter was brought up, and the discussion on muslin as well. Is there any offer by the military to provide any additional kokua beyond what they're being asked for?
To keep it as kind as I can, they're not gonna do anything that they don't
Right.
federally have to do.
Yeah.
They
They're not
are
mandated.
required to work with us as NAGPRA claimants. Anything outside of that has not been something easy for us to do. So truly, I mean, I'm happy that our claimants are starting to pull in younger people because we're gonna have a lot to do. When this is done, when we've dealt with the 3,000, it's going to continue. The military's kind of standard practice is year 48, 49, before a building becomes historic, they're gonna tear it down. One thing, we're getting the burial sand back. We're finding kupuna who've been placed under homes. That's the silver lining in it, if we can look really hard for one. But that also means that they're gonna build something probably bigger. They're gonna expand their footprint. So even when this is done, we will be continuing the work. And it's good to know that the ohana that are here are pulling in younger folks who are really committed to learning the laws, the state and the feds, so that we can do this. Yeah.
And the thing about this too is that every time they change the commander, we have to re-educate the commander again. So the setback has been, not good for us. Because when you train a Mexican to say, hey, this is our Iwi Kupuna, yeah, we have to do the whole process all over again.
So we're in year one with this commander. We've got 3 years to do this before we have to start over. We've got the funding allotted, we've got the design done and approved by the military as well as Congress. Next steps is to just get them to understand that every recognized claimant is in agreement, so that we can move forward. And once they see that you guys are in agreement with us, the OIBC has signed, then we move to putting out the bids.
Any appropriate documentation or visual documentation, whether it's photographs or videos, that would be helpful for us to have on hand for us to further support you folks. Please share that with us as appropriate.
Yes.
And that's a really good point, because if we do approve the reso, which there's a high probability of that, we want you to weigh in, go talk with Lena Ala and see how you can utilize OHA in this equation. Yeah, that's what you're asking for,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So two more. Trustee Akina and Trustee Alapa. No. Okay, very good. Trustee Akina.
Thank you, Chair. Skye and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming down here today. Appreciate what you stand for and what you're doing for all the people. Are you satisfied with this move of OHA from being an Ohana signatory or claimant to taking on a support role? And is this what you all want? Is this the best way we can stand with you?
Yes, 100% yes. Where we have had we've faltered has been all of the Ohana, the NHOs have agreed, and then it's been kind of in past, not this commander, but past commanders have been like, but I don't see OHA's signature, or I don't see the OIBC's signature. So we think that this is the best route. This gives us the ability to still call you guys, involve you guys. Whenever we're gonna need hands, we're gonna have to call. There's a lot of work to do. But I think kind of getting agendized, waiting for meetings, waiting for it does take time. And with our Hui and how we're set up right now, we can make a decision the day of, and that's been very productive for us.
Well, I like that, when we can just get out of the way and and let
Yeah.
good things happen.
It's
Yes.
just that the military has used that against us. They have tried to split and say, well, we don't see them agreeing.
agencies
You know,
involved.
they're using that. So that's why we're trying to just bring the group closer and so that we can make quick decisions. Okay.
And just one comment, it was for Lena Ala, actually. She's still here? I take it then we've vetted this so that we're not in a negative liability position, moving into more of an advisory role, and yet having our name involved.
I mean, this has gone through Corp Council, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been reviewed by Corp Council.
Okay, so we're
Yes. We are not giving up any duties that we should be responsible for.
Mahalo.
Yes.
okay, very good. So you want to click the microphone? Okay, thank you very much. Mahalo. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, trustees, we have a motion to approve a resolution supporting Native American graves protection and repatriation Act claimants reburial plans for the Mōkapu collection at Marine Corps Base Hawaiʻi, Kāneʻohe, Oʻahu as amended. Okay, Leanne, please take the roll.
Trustee Ahuna,
On this vote, I'm gonna have to recuse myself because they mentioned Anuhea in this. So thank you, but I fully support.
thank you. Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa,
Aye.
Trustee Kahele, Trustee Lindsay, Trustee Souza,
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
Chair Galutaria.
Aye,
You have 8 yes votes and 1 recusal.
very good. Okay, mahalo. Stay in touch with Lei so we can help as much as possible, and Kamakana, yeah? Okay, now let's move to item C, the final item on the agenda, BAE Action Item 26 2022-03, approval of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs legislative testimony procedures for the 2026 session. Lee?
Yes, thank you. So this action item was initiated by Corporation Counsel in response to some of the conversations they've had with the Office of Information Practices about the best way to handle a situation which is not unusual during session. It happened twice last session, where a bill that the board has not voted on has a hearing scheduled within 48 hours, and it demands a response from OHA because it seriously affects our beneficiaries. And some of the reasons that a bill might not have been previously on a matrix that the board has voted on is because it was like a short form bill and then essentially gotten replaced. The bill totally changes, or a bill that we supported in the past gets changed. So this happened last year. We supported it, and then it got changed so much that we had to oppose it. And we do not obviously have the ability within 48 hours to publicly notice a meeting 6 days in advance and then have a BOT vote. So there's situations that arise where we as OHA have to be able to respond, and we don't have time to go to the BOT. So what this procedure proposes as the appropriate process is that, advocacy would elevate this issue to Chair Kahele and Summer as the CEO, and they would approve whatever position they think appropriate, but the testimony would very explicitly say that it is being submitted on the recommendation of OHA leadership. The exact language would be, this testimony represents a recommendation by OHA leadership that is subject to full board approval. So it would be transparent as to legislators and our beneficiaries. And then at the next BAE meeting, which we're going to have weekly beginning on the 28th through the end of February, then at the very next BAE meeting, it would be disclosed to the board what was the situation, what was the measure, why it demanded an immediate response from OHA, and what was the testimony submitted per the approval of the chair and the CEO. So this, if we adopt this procedure, this would cure any, defects, because I know beneficiaries last year raised, you can't do this public notice, but adopting this procedure and this publicly noticed meeting would allow us to implement this. And as stated in the procedure, this would be minimally utilized. This would be kind of like an emergency procedure, like a gut and replace type situation. So it's not going to become like a de facto practice. It would, the practice is we go through the matrices, but we need a backup plan because of the pace of the ledge session and just the nature of the total change that a bill can go through.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me see. All right. Before we get into questions, Q&A, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the Office of Hawaiian Affairs legislative testimony procedures for the 2026 legislative session. Do I hear a motion? Trustees?
You can make it.
Okay, Trustee Souza. Yeah, thank you, Trustee Hulu. All right, trustees, any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Oh, okay, Trustee Aquino.
Thank you. I think this is a good move, but I have a question. Is there any provision for communicating back to a legislative committee if testimony given contingently is subsequently not approved by the board?
Lei?
My understanding is it's very difficult to retract. I mean, it's going to be public record because testimony gets published, right, as soon as you submit it on the legislative website. But it would, so it would just be in the next committee that we would have to submit testimony correcting our position.
I think that would be satisfactory. I'm just asking whether that's a provision of the measure we are going to approve today.
That isn't, but we could add a additional, maybe under it would be section 5B. We could add a number 6. This is on page 3. So right above emergency meeting procedures, we could add an additional, or maybe it would be a new 5. Under ratification by the board, then it would say something along the lines, if the board were not to ratify the position, the next committee hearing, or we would submit testimony in the next committee hearing to correct the record as to OHA's position.
Mr. Chair, I would recommend that.
Okay, in order to do that, we're gonna have to withdraw the motion. Okay, okay, very good. So Lynal, are we clear about what we're gonna do to it?
Yes, and Everett, our corp counsel, is nodding his agreement with that proposal.
Is good with that? Okay. Summer, you wanna come up to the table and join us? You're okay? All right, very good.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Trustee Lindsay?
may I say something?
Sure.
Actually, this situation occurred in the last legislative session and caught our staff totally off guard, where a short bill was presented in committee, and Chair and Lay were there. And in that bill, global settlement for the PLT was mentioned. And they were not aware, I think, of that, and did not object to the bill. So I'm concerned that something like that would happen again, and that we're, instead of answering yes or no, coming back to, let's say, the chair of the committee that is chairing that subject matter before answering in a legislative committee. Because we do have a YouTube recording of that particular committee meeting where Lay and Chair were in it and did not object to the global settlement. That's something that we cannot agree on.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Trustee. Lay, do you recall that moment?
I
Very
do.
uncomfortable, huh?
I would characterize the testimony that I would respectfully characterize the testimony and our intent a little bit differently. It's SB 903 is the bill, I believe, Trustee Lindsay, that you're referring to. And the intent of our testimony was to ask them to go back to our PLT bill, which was HB 1358. And we said before any discussion of master settlement, obviously we would need to finish the audit and inventory. And it was not intended to be an endorsement of the master settlement proposal, but it was just to reiterate the point that we need to get through the audit and inventory, which was the bill that we were trying to drive forward last year. So it might have been, imperfectly stated, but certainly the goal of our position on the record, which was, I believe, submitted as a comment. It wasn't an oppose or a support. It was just to show up because we were in this exact situation where OHA needed to appear and we didn't have a position. Therefore, it was a comment, not a support or oppose, because we also could, it seemed it was the most neutral at the time. But again, what we put in substantively was consistent with a position of the board, which is that the audit and inventory needs to be the first step before the legislature tries to do anything. So that would just respectfully be my characterization of the legislation. And this is, and yes, this procedure is partially to address what Trustee Lindsay's talking about. That was one of the two situations that came up last year. But the testimony was comment, and the assessment was it would be worse for OHA to not say anything. That would be more of a endorsement of the proposal to just OHA not be there. Right. That seems, and I welcome the discussion from the trustees, but that seems like the least optimal.
You know, we got,
position.
okay, so we got a couple of options. Trustees, any other questions? Okay, we got a couple of options. Because the motion is, was taken off the table, and we have considerations from trustee Akina that we want to incorporate into the motion, specific to this motion, and also take into consideration what trustee Lindsay has said. Would we want to just table it for now, massage it down, and then bring it back?
I would recommend not tabling it because we're going to go into session, but we are going to be meeting weekly, but okay. Everett,
Okay, so
thank you.
can we put a motion on the table? Can we put a motion on the table with the considerations of both trustees? And what would that be?
Good morning, Chair Galateri, and good morning, trustees. I would suggest that, the suggestion by trustee Aquino, which I think is agreeable. I guess I hadn't heard any objections by members of the board. But just to amend the procedures provided in the attachment to the action item to provide for an update to the legislature, the appropriate legislature committee, if the board's action is to amend or withdraw the position taken under those, the rapid response approval procedures. So I think it's maybe an extra sentence to that effect under those procedures. So I guess if the board would be comfortable with moving forward with an approval subject to advocacy's revision to the procedures, providing for an update to the committee in the event that the board chooses to amend or withdraw that procedure, that position under the rapid response approval.
Okay. Is that Vice Chair Akaka?
Yeah, we can approve that.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I'm hearing correctly, or if it's not added in there, that there would be in the subsequent or the following, whether it's called the Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment Committee or the committee that is handles the legislative affairs, that it would be where in that next meeting that it would be that position testimony be provided to the committee, or maybe possibly that same day if possible, whether through a memo, but that be presented in the committee in that following meeting.
So to trustee Akaka's question, the procedures call for, in the event that rapid response procedure or that process is utilized, then the testimony would be forwarded to the trustees within 48 hours of the testimony submittal. So that provides the opportunity to review. And then at the next meeting, likely the BAE committee, then that rapid response testimony would be presented for approval, adoption or ratification by the board, or the opportunity to amend or withdraw that testimony. And then as a result of that, right, if there is an amendment or withdrawal of that testimony, then that notification would also go to the legislature's appropriate committee.
Okay. Yeah, this seems similar to an earlier motion that we had, which utilized an amendment into the original motion, but, because we passed that, by the way. So we're going to do the same on this one. If there's no objections, we're going to call for a motion, and it'll be similar to the first motion, but we're going to add the considerations of both trustee Lindsay and trustee Aquino. Okay? And this is, I'll move to approve the Office of Hawaiian Affairs Legislative Testimony Procedures for the 2026 legislative session. Okay? With the additions of the suggestions from trustee Aquino and considerations of trustee Lindsay. Okay? All right. If there's no other discussion, let's have a vote. Leanne?
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Aquino,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Yes. Trustee Kahele. Aye. Trustee Lindsay.
Aye.
Trustee Souza.
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
Chair Galutaria.
Aye.
You have 9 votes. Motion passes unanimously.
Mahalo. Okay, you can work with that, right?
Yes, mahalo.
Okay, very good. All right, Leanne, is there any online or in-person for community concerns and celebrations?
Yes, we do have one.
Okay.
Demont, is it Maneola? Manola.
Hey, Demont, come forward, please. Go ahead.
Aloha, guys. Oi. Demont Claimants Ole co-manager Ho'omanapono LLC, Native Hawaiian Advocacy Corporation, operating out of Waianae Coast. Good to see Kale over here. We just met with her. See Keone, and also Kai on a video. Bye, everybody. Long time no see you guys. Okay, so I'm here for community service. 2 things. One, I love what Kai them did. I'm glad that they're here talking about Mōkapu. But also, I want to talk about the desalinization plant in Kalailua. Just so you guys know, I'm not here to pick on fight with you guys. Somebody in the past, in Oahu's past, long time ago, a guy named, last name Yi, had a statement of no comment with regards to that land that was transferred from the military surplus, the Navy, over to BWS. And so OHA and DHHL went dropped the ball on that one. We never had beneficiary consultation. Nobody talked to us, the trust beneficiaries. And now that project, they're bragging about it, that they're going through with it. I find that one problem. And because of the continuing course of conduct that I can assert, on Monday, not Monday, Tuesday, I'll be filing a lawsuit about that. And so I hope that, you guys was just talking about Auntie Hulu. She raised a serious question about the PLT issue, right? Well, this is a PLT issue, right? And for you guys, and also a trust issue for us at DHHL. So I'm giving you guys a heads up. You guys are named, OHA and DHHL, and the commission is named, and primarily because of you guys inaction in the past. Not you guys over here, but in the past, you guys never take any action. The guy, his comment, I look on the document, says no comment. How are you gonna have no comment when we're talking about transferring military land to BWS? BWS. Then BWS not even in the line of succession, right? So I have a problem with that. I'm gonna print out the complaint. It's a 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 complaint, and my standing is that I'm a trust beneficiary, and that we've been injured by that. So I hope that OHA will be willing to work with us. Unfortunately, you guys was on the opposite end of that. And I would like to remind you that in the Nelson case, Judge Cataldo was in the hearing when she said it. She said that she had a problem with DHHL standing on the side of the state against trust beneficiaries in that case. You guys should keep that in mind, right? So if we don't like be on opposite sides, there should be a coming to the table on this issue once the litigation is filed. Because I have no trust with the state or any of its agencies to act in a correct manner on behalf of trust beneficiaries. Not you guys, again, not you guys. Sometimes get decisions made above you guys' position that you cannot, for whatever reason, you cannot take. But I know one thing, when a suit is filed, there's going to be a conference that's going to happen, and then there's also going to be a settlement, a chance for settlement. So at any point at that time, if you guys are open to discuss with the trust beneficiaries that can be filing a litigation, we will be open to work with you guys. But the bottom line is, we're really disappointed That is a lot of land that they gave, and now the money and revenue that gonna come from that desalination plant, we have absolutely nothing from that. And I'm really upset about that issue. So it's the Kalailo desalination plant. And I know about that place because I was selling food out there right down the road from where I was selling my food. So you guys should pay attention to that. And if anybody like talk to me about that afterwards, we can definitely do that. I can give you a copy of the complaint. But in that one, we were cut out the picture all together, and that was not Pono. So that's what I have to share today. And
Sure.
by the way, it's good to see all you guys.
Yeah.
Aloha.
Hey, Demont, why don't you do me a favor? Send what you are going to be sending to everybody, and I'll get it to the board.
Okay.
The information.
If
Okay.
I get the kind email and whatnot, I can go do that.
Yeah, okay. Very good.
Yeah?
Very good.
All right, boss.
Before the day's out, go talk to Leanne.
All right.
Okay.
Aloha.
Mahalo.
All right.
Mahalo. Any other more information about community concerns and celebrations, Leanne?
No,
No?
not at this time.
Okay, very well. Okay.
Trustee Ahuna.
Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Ahuna. has his hand
Trustee
up.
Lindsay.
No,
Trustee Ahuna is
has
raising his
Oh,
hand.
Trustee
Yeah.
Ahuna. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Trustee
Is this
Ahuna?
community concern and celebrations too for us? I didn't quite. Tonight, I just wanted to make an announcement that we'll be having, OHA is going to continue its efforts with its responsibility to all these land leases, military land leases. And tonight, we're having a meeting in the Kekaha Neighborhood Center from 6 to 8 on this military land lease. So I just wanted to mention that to all of our beneficiaries.
Very good. Thank you for that. All right. And that brings us to announcements too. Members, any announcements? No? I have one announcement, and it'll be coming out of the chair's office too, Chair Kaʻūpūlehu. The meeting tomorrow, our board meeting tomorrow has been postponed until Friday for the sole purpose of paying tribute to our beloved trustee, Rowena Akana. So her celebration of life will be tomorrow, January 15th at Kaihaʻo Church. Visitation is at 10 a.m. Service is at 11. Trustees, we will be given special seating in the church. And for those of you folks who do attend. And Trustee Waihe'e will be providing remarks. And he is also going to be presenting a resolution that we've prepared. So if you haven't signed the resolution yet, it's out. It needs signing. Either go to Lehua, Leanne, or Alina, and we could get your signature on that, okay? And then, of course, Friday, we come back into session, board. All right, mahalo to the administrative staff and members of this committee for your participation today. There being no further business, and by the way, BNF is coming up. How much time do we need, Chair Waihe'e? 15 minutes. Okay, 20 minutes. All right. Okay, 20 minutes, all right. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn the January 14th, 2026 Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment? Thank you, Trustee Souza. Leanne, please call the roll.
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye. Yes.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa, Trustee Kahele, not present. Trustee Lindsay,
Aye.
Trustee Souza, Trustee Waihe'e, Chair Galutaria.
Aye.
You have 8 yes votes. Motion passes.
Okay. This meeting is adjourned.